Good morning. Today I'm going to tell you a story of 3 amazing coincidences. When I started doing this vlog, putting up these posts, I had a different motive for doing them than I have now. But we're living in such an incredibly fast changing world that I think some of the stories of our past really need to be recorded for posterity, so that people in the future will be able to understand what the world was like after we have whatever this great reset is going to be. So over the next course of whatever period of time, I'm going to be putting up a lot of posts telling about my 25 years on the road in my life. I've spent 25 years traveling, and many of the incidents and strange occurrences that have happened. Today, we're talking to Michelle. Michelle is one of my new daughters. She's actually the girlfriend of Kyle, who is my new son. New son being the brother of Irene, who you may have met in previous posts. But she lives with us now, here in Dumaguete, in the Philippines. If you like this story, or if you like anything that we post and you'd like to hear some more, please don't forget, press subscribe. It'll remind you of any future posts that come up, and it helps us a lot to keep going. Right. This story starts when I was living on a yacht, traveling up and down the east coast of Australia. And we called into an island called Hinchinbrook Island. Hinchinbrook Island is a preserve. It's a nature reserve. Only about, I think, 60 people at a time are allowed on the island. It's quite a large island, and it takes about 3 days to hike around it. It's infested with snakes and crocodiles and dingoes and everything that's dangerous. But there is a hiking trail that goes around it, through some of the rivers and things, so you do have to be very careful of crocodiles, and because they are quite a big threat in Australia. But we weren't hiking around the island. We were just sailing down the coast of Australia, east coast of Australia, from the Great Barrier Reef, and we called into this idyllic little bay, a beautiful sandy beach, palm trees hanging over the white sandy beach, not a soul anywhere. We thought, wow, this would be a great place just to anchor for a little while and go ashore and have fun. So we got into the dinghy and we were rowing ashore. And as we were rowing ashore, a couple walks out of the bush. And we think, oh my, here we are looking for peace and quiet and just tranquility, And there's another couple there. But it didn't matter. We said, okay. So obviously, being the only 4 people on the beach, we started talking for a while. And it turned out that they were on their 2nd day, I think, going around the island, and they hadn't prepared themselves mentally enough for it. And they'd left their rice that they were carrying with them on the ground the night before. And the mice, or the rats, had got into it and eaten all their rice, you see. So they said, do you have anything you can help us with? Well, it turned out that that morning I had baked a few loaves of bread on the boat. Not just ordinary bread. I put in it bacon and cheese and olives and all sorts of yummy stuff, onions and everything. And we had, I think, about 2 or 3 loaves, or 3 or 4 loaves. So I said, yeah, no problem. We've got some bread out on the boat. I'll get it for you. So I went out and brought back 2 loaves of bread and gave it to them, which they thanked us very much for. And we spent a pleasant afternoon wandering through the bush a little way, coming across a couple of creeks with big signs up saying, beware of the crocodiles, watch carefully the water before you cross these creeks. And so we didn't bother crossing the creeks. We just turned back, went back to our boat, sailed off into the sunset, and really thought nothing of it. It was just one of those days, another ideal day in paradise. But about 18 months later, we were traveling through South America, and we'd gone from Bogota down to a little place called San Agustin in the southern part of Colombia. San Agustin is a lovely, beautiful little village set in a little valley, and with a lot of old Inca archaeological sites around. And so we just gone down to see them, and it was such an idyllic place. We wound up staying there for a month. We were staying in this little hospedaje, this little guest house up in the hills, and right next to us there was an English woman who had married a Colombian, and she had this little thing going to try and raise a little bit of money where she cooked a set meal every night. And for a small amount of money, I think it was like something like, in those days, which now we were going back to about the 1995, somewhere around there. It was just a set meal, 3-course meal, a soup, a main course, and a sweet, and it was about $3 from memory, or something like that. Cheap as anything. So we used to go over there every night. But one night we heard that there was, or one day we heard that there was an Australian couple had come into the village. So we thought we'll go down and find them. So we found out where they were living. We went, knocked on the door, and introduced ourselves, and we arranged to have dinner in the pizza place. There was a little place that made pizzas down there. So we arranged to have dinner in the pizza place that night. So we're sitting there, having a drink, and just chatting while we were waiting for our pizzas. And as we were, the waiter brought us over some bread. And the conversation just came around to bread. And this girl said, the best bread we have ever had in our lives was given to us by a couple of yachties in Hinchinbrook Island, right? About 18 months ago. And we said, that was us, right? I mean, it was an incredible coincidence. 18 months later, on the other side of the world, in a tiny little archaeological village. So it was a nice afternoon. We had a nice evening. I mean, we had a lot of laughs and everything. But after we had dinner, we decided to go to a bar where they used to play live music and bongos and salsa and dancing and everything. We'd been there a few times before, and it was a lot of fun. So we went down there, but it turns out we walked into this bar, sat down, the girl walked over to get some drinks. Yeah. I think her name was Gail, but I can't actually remember exactly, but I think her name was Gail. She walked over to get some drinks, and she came back and she said, you won't believe this. What? What's the matter? She said, well, before I met Ryan, I don't know why I remember his name, but his name was Ryan. Before I met Ryan, I was traveling through India. And while I was in India, I met this Colombian boy. Right? And we had a little bit of a fling while we were there. But then he went his way, and I went my way, and we never contacted each other again. She said, that's him serving behind the bar. You know? Incredible. So not only had she met us from 18 months before, from about 2.5 years before, she'd met the Colombian boy. But it doesn't even stop there, because we then started talking about India. Right? And I said, where did you meet him? In India. And she said, a place called Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. Jaisalmer is right out next to the Thar Desert, not near the Pakistan border, but out towards that way. And I said, did you do any safaris out there, any camel safaris? Because we've been there a couple of times, and the camel safaris out there were wonderful. And she said, yes, she did. She said, and it was a funny story, because after we did this camel safari, and we came back, it was a 3-day safari, and we came back to town, we got there about 4 or 5 o'clock at night, and there was about 8 of us on the safari. And we all agreed that we would go to the local bang shop. Now, the bang in India, it means hash. You know. Go to the local bang shop and have a bang lassi. A bang lassi is a yogurt drink that they put a bit of fruit in it, and if you want to, a bang lassie, they will also put in a dollop of hashish, put it in the bottom, stir it all up, and you just drink it. Well, the joke amongst foreigners is that nothing happens for about 20 minutes. But after about 20 minutes, the reason they call it bang is that it just goes bang, wow, wow, and then you're away with the fairies, you see. So we all had this bang lassie, and we were sitting around. Everyone decided we'll go back to our hotels, get cleaned up and showered, and we'll meet at the rooftop restaurant for dinner. And we went back to the restaurant. Now, normally, my partner, who was with me at the time, never touched any sort of drugs whatsoever. I normally didn't either, but when in Rome, do what the Romans do. When in India, do what the Indians do, because bang is quite legal in India. You see bang shops all over the place. They roll it up like great big salamis, and if you want to buy it, they just cut you off a slice and you take it.
Bang is like a marijuana?
It's a very strong version of marijuana. It's all squeezed together, and it contains all the juices and everything, all the real potent stuff. So it's like a very, very potent form of marijuana. And you can smoke it, but also you can just drink it. And I don't smoke, so I didn't like smoking it. Didn't like the feeling in my throat or my lungs. So my partner and I go back to the hotel, and we're having a shower. And she's in the shower, and she comes out and she said, "Do you feel strange?" And I said, "Well, I'm feeling something, but nothing's really kicked in yet." And so she said, "I'm starting to get all buzzy and fuzzy in my hair. In my head. And so that's okay. We got showered, we got cleaned up. We went up to the rooftop restaurant. Now, it was called the rooftop restaurant, obviously, because it was on the rooftop. Right? It was about a 3 or 4 story building, and the staircase was in the middle, and it wound around this sort of atrium going up to the roof. But there was no railing on the inside. So my partner by this stage was really starting to get, I should revert back just a little bit. Normally she took nothing. And one of the other girls also normally took nothing. But a few of us said, "Come on, try it once, just for once while you're in India." So they said, "All right then, we'll have half." So we went up to the Bang Lassie guy, and we said to him, "We'll have 2 Bang Lassies, but just put half in each." Well, when my partner got down to the bottom of it, drank her lassie, and she looked at it, and she said, "There's another," I am getting mixed up. She started to taste it, and she said, "There's nothing in this." And so I said to her, "Don't worry, I'll go up and get him to put another one." So he went up and he put another dollop in. When she got down to the bottom of the drink, she found that the half of one had been stirred up, but the full one was still there. So she said, "What will I do with it?" Sometimes people are intelligent, sometimes they're really stupid. And this was a time I was really stupid, because I said, "Just eat it." So she did. So from normally taking nothing, she went to taking 1.5. Right. So we're walking up the stairs to this rooftop restaurant, and she's clinging to the walls all the way up. And I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I don't want to fall off. I don't want to fall off." So we get up to the restaurant, and we sit in the chair. Right? Everybody sits around, and she's sitting there, very upright, holding onto the chair like this. And next minute, she just starts to slide off the chair. And next minute, she's underneath the table with her arms wrapped around my legs. I was like, "What's the matter?" She said, "I don't want to fall off the roof. I don't want to fall off the roof." So the owner of the place came up, and he was watching us. Then she got even more paranoid. She said, "Because the police are watching us. He's going to call the police." I said, "No, he's not going to call the police. He's just making sure we don't fall off the roof. That's all," because it was pretty obvious. Everybody was pretty stoned. Well, going back to San Agustin again, it turned out that this girl, Gail, she was on the same camel safari that we were with a Colombian boyfriend. And because she remembered the incident of my partner sliding under the table and clinging to the roof. And what happened is we were waiting what seemed like ages for dinner, ages. And my partner, I won't mention her name because we're talking about bang and things, and so I don't want to associate her with it. But she'd slid under the table 3 or 4 times, and she was lying on the floor so she wouldn't fall off. Eventually, the waiter came out and he served like all this beautiful food, or colourful Indian food is just divine. It was red and it was yellow and there was green curries and there was dal and there was everything, just beautiful. So we all put it on and put some on our plate. I took the spoon, dipped it in the spoon, and I had it halfway to my mouth, and she grabbed me. She said, "Take me back to the hotel, take me back to the hotel." I said, "What? Let me have some dinner first." See. But no, she wanted me to take her back to the hotel. So I took her back to the hotel, and she said, "Lock me in the bathroom so I can't hurt myself." I said, "I can't. The door between the room and the bathroom is a shower curtain." I said, "I can't lock it." So anyway, we put her into bed and she lay down and she was okay. And I went back to the rooftop restaurant. Of course, when I got back there was no food left. So I wound up missing out on dinner. Just a little story of a few amazing coincidences that happen, like in different parts of the world, from Hinchinbrook Island in Australia to San Agustin in Colombia and to Jaisalmer in India. You wouldn't credit it that you could run into the same people time and time again like that. And I didn't remember the faces at all. I don't think they remembered us either, but they remembered the incident, so we must have been there together. You know. The world is changing tremendously these days, and I think that very soon these types of experiences are virtually not going to be possible anymore. And so I feel that it's important to tell people about these, what the world was like before we went into lockdown. Because if we come out of lockdown, the world might never be will never be the same again. So it's important. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you enjoyed the story, Michelle. Okay. Please, if you do like it, you want to hear more, press subscribe. Say you like it, press a little like, and there's also a bell there. Press the little bell, and that will actually give you a warning to tell you when a new post has been made. Thanks very much for watching.